I have a book in me. This is my friend, my brother.
Thank you, Kelly and Oliver.
I'm a multi-award winning best-selling author.
If you want to start a new business, I suggest you write the book on it.
God woke me up at 2:30 in the morning and I wrote a book.
Some of you got books already. Some of you got novels already.
The lead generator is the book.
You write a book, you leave a legacy to your children.
And I hope you guys listen to these guys so they know what they're talking about.
What's up, everybody? I'm the publisher, Mr. Kelly Cole.
And I'm the writing coach, Dr. Oliver T. Reid, the relationship architect.
Yo, welcome to Books-N-Brothas podcast. We got a special guest in the building tonight. Before we started recording, she tried to act shy on me, but she is a celebrity ghostwriter. She has written for all the celebs. You know what I'm saying? She's going to give us all the names. She's going to name drop. She's going to tell us everybody she's worked with. She's trying to be shy, but we're not going for that tonight. Ain't that right, bro? He can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we ain't having it. I can hear you.
All right, why you get a delay?
I don't know. I thought the delay was coming on your side. So you froze on
This guy. All right, let's introduce our guest, bro. We got Miss Inita Callaway, the celebrity ghostwriter. How are you, Anita?
I am well, Kelly.
Was that formal? I call her B. I can't call her no Anita. I call her B. Her hood name is Booney. That's what we call her in the hood in the shop. I call her B. What's up, B?
What's up?
How you doing?
What's up? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this platform.
Okay.
And Dr. Oliver.
You're welcome, B. Glad to have you.
So, yeah, so tonight, well, first of all, this is how we usually start. Bro, how was your week so far? How's everything going?
It was pretty good, man. Can't complain. You know, it was productive. How was yours?
Today was probably my most productive day out of the whole week. So I got a lot done today. I don't know about you, like tasks that I feel like is going to take the longest, I put off. And those are the ones that usually make me the most money. So today I was like, I'm getting this done today. So, but yeah, so today was good. The beginning of the week has been slow. But B, how's your week been so far?
My week has been good. Productive, sticking to my writing schedule, which is very vigorous. But so far, so good. We moving on. Like you just said, you put off the task that's the hardest. That's gonna make you the most money, and I do it all the time. So I know I'm not alone in that area.
Right, which is bad. Like, so all of the millionaires and billionaires that I study, they always say tackle the hardest task first and the biggest task, and it's going to give you momentum to keep going. But a lot of times, man, it's so hard for me to do it. And I spent more time trying to find somebody to do it than it took me to just get it done today, which I hate doing websites. So I had to build a web page my course. But I spent like probably 2 weeks trying to find somebody to do it. And then today I just said, forget it. I'm just going to do it.
Go ahead and do it. Let's get it done.
So cool. So let's jump into it. We don't want to hold the celebrity up. She got more celebrity clients to get to and whatnot. But tonight's topic is the life of a celebrity ghostwriter. She laughed when I gave her that title. But Doc came up with that title. What made you come up with that title, Doc?
Well, when you came and you messaged me in my inbox and you said who we were going to, think about having on as a guest, I was like, we got to change it from just the ghostwriter to the celebrity ghostwriter because I've been hearing all the great, wonderful things B's been doing. So I was like, we got to switch the topic up. I think you came back and said, yeah. And so that's how we came up with it. We had talked about ghostwriting before, but I think tonight we're going to take it to a whole nother level.
For sure. All right, B, let's jump into it. So where does your passion for writing come from? Like, how long you been writing? Where's your passion for writing come from?
Well, I've been writing since I was 13, but I didn't get serious about it until I was 36 because I had to be taken through, you know how God takes you through when you go through a low point. And then when I actually found purpose at 36, that's when I started writing. And I like to tell stories. I'm a storyteller. I have a very vivid imagination. This conversation that we're having right now, I can create a whole story around it. So that's the gifting that I have. And then I just let the pen flow. And my logo, my tagline is actually where the pen meets the imagination. So that's how we roll.
So you said you found your purpose at 36. What's your purpose and how did you actually discover your purpose? Because that's a big thing for people.
My purpose is to help people articulate their stories. That's what my purpose is, I believe, and to bring people together. That's what I think it is at this point in my life. And I discovered it because, like I said, I was at a low point, divorced and almost destitute, didn't know what to do, couldn't find a job. And I just kept crying out to God, literally, what am I supposed to do? It seemed like everybody was prospering around me. And I kind of started to feel like I was left behind. And I just kept, this is going on for like a month. What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing? Something just kept saying, well, I know now that it was the Holy Spirit. Start a blog. I'm like, what is a blog? I hadn't even considered a blog, didn't know what a blog was, didn't want to do a blog. I'm like, but I need money right now,
Yeah.
So start a blog. This is going on for about a month. Right. That's literally all I kept hearing. Right. I'm like, what? But my mind is cloudy. I'm depressed. How can I write? One day, it was just, matter of fact, it was August, maybe the first week in August 2017. I couldn't take it no more. I was just crying out. I remember I was at a friend's house and she had just bought a house and I had helped her move, with my best friends. And I was just sitting around amongst other homeowners and I'm the only one that wasn't a homeowner. And I felt the way, how the enemy come in. I felt the way. So I went home, I'm crying. My brother came by the next morning and I kind of told him what was going on. And he said, why don't you write? You've always been a good writer. It was the day that I knew because he had no idea what I was going through, what I was struggling with internally. That was the day that I knew. And I've been writing ever since. I started the blog that night. I was like up just writing. Started the blog that night. Still no money coming in, but I started a blog, from a blog to a book, then from my own book to writing somebody else's book the first time.
So,
and here we are today.
Well, happy anniversary. I don't know if you realize this is the 1st of August right now. So this is actually your anniversary.
It sure is. It is. Yep. Wow, I didn't realize that either.
Go ahead, bro. What you got?
Man, so when you decided to start writing, what was going through your mind? I mean, I would love to pick your brain. What was the first topic you wrote about? You mentioned divorce, and you mentioned not having money, and you were doing this blog. What was the first thing popped out on that blog? I want to see that hot off the press. What was it?
It was about coming out, actually. Not coming out, being free, because I felt like I was in bondage, because all those things that was going on. So it was about coming out, being in bondage, living my truth, and I just felt like it was time. And what I focused on in the first one I remember so long ago now. I used to have this reoccurring dream when I was little. Every time I would try to speak, a glob of black substance or whatever would fill my mouth. I mean, I had this dream for years, probably 10, 15 years. And every time I pulled out to say something, it would fill back up again. And I never understood. So that's what I wrote about. And I felt I had stopped having a dream, but that's what I had wrote about. And I felt like I was coming out. I now have a voice and it's time to use it. That's what I wrote about. That was my first blog. Yeah, 2017. Wow. I need to go back and try to find it.
No. Yeah, so, all right, so you went from your blog. Tell us how you wrote your first book and what was it about?
I wrote my first book. So the blog I started was called the B-Logs. And the B-Logs were, because my nickname is Boney, and I wanted to play off my lane, so B and log, so the logs of B. That's what it was, the logs in my mind. So it was about my life's journey, because I dealt with a lot of depression and low self-esteem and all of these things, not being able to find my place in life. So that's what I wrote about. And at the end, I kind of gave lessons to people, lessons that I learned, and hopefully they can, that will help them. So that's what I wrote about. And so when I wrote a book, I said, you know what, I think that I wanted to do something different with my book. I said, let me take these short stories from my blog and put them in a book and make them theme-wise and kind of go deeper into the story behind why I wrote the lesson. So every chapter in my book is a different lesson based on a different emotion I had, like patience and commitment or love, or I can't even remember now, it's been so long. but the book is themed and there's a story behind each one. So that's what my book is about. A lot of short stories about my life. There's some crazy stuff that happened. When I look back, I'm like, man, I was messed up. But it helped people because a lot of people were like, "Why? I didn't even know that you were going through that." So, and then,
What was the title of your book?
I'm righting my wrongs. I'm not righting my wrongs.
Dope, dope. Go ahead, bro. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, so righting my wrongs, right, and not righting my wrongs, right? Is that that was the name of the title?
Mm-hmm.
So I found as being a writer, all of us on here are authors, that it's so liberating when you're able to write. What goes through your mind while you're writing? Because some people will be saying, hey, I want to know what's in her mind. She also ghostwrite, right? But let's just talk about when you started writing. What were some of the emotions that you faced?
Oh man, writing some of that stuff, digging it up from the past. I call it like literally unpacking my luggage, taking it off the shelf, and crying, sad, happy. Especially some of those childhood memories that I wanted to bury, but I had to pull them up in order to heal. It was the healing process too. It took me a long time to do the book because of that. So many different emotions, and I would do it late at night or early in the morning because that's the best time for me to write. Because I'm clear and everything's like still. And I had to sit with myself, and that can be hard, especially when you've been through so much. But I went through a gamut of emotions. It was crazy, scary too, but I made it.
So
That's good.
go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's good that you made it. And I love the part you talk about that process, because some people look at the podcast, they hear the podcast, or they see the book on the shelf, and they don't realize how much sweat equity, I always like to say sweat equity, that goes into doing that. So thank you for sharing that. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. So at the end, B, I want you to give the people some practical steps because that's what we try to do. But I want to get into, so who was your first ghostwriting client? And I want the name. Don't be saying it was this person. Who was your first, what was the first book you wrote for somebody?
Okay. So I just want to back up a little. So when I was first of all, I never thought I would be a ghostwriter. Let's just start there.
Okay.
So that's how I know that my steps are literally being ordered.
Come on.
I didn't even consider being a ghostwriter. I always wanted to be a TV writer. I mean, I still do, but that was my first thing, to be a TV writer, never a ghostwriter. Never considered it. When I thought about ghostwriting, I always thought about rap. That's what I always thought about.
Mm.
So when you called me and asked me, can you do this? I'm like, what? So I did it. So that was he was a rap artist and Dr. Rap in Atlanta.
I can't even think of his name either.
I can't remember his name.
But yeah,
come on, people.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it. I think.
But anyway, and this is how I knew. So Kelly sent me over like 10, 15 hours of audio with him just talking. And he asked me if I can get it to him in a week. And I got it to him in a week. And from there, he had a great story too. I know the name of his book was called A Walking Testimony. Now I do remember that.
Jay Torrey.
Yep, Jay Torrey, right.
Yep.
His story, the name of his book is called A Walking Testimony. And he went through so many things. And when I write for other people, I have to get in that emotion and go along and ride with them. So it was kind of weird because I didn't talk to him. I was listening to what he said. So that was my first experience with actually not talking to somebody, but listening to him. But I was able to do it. I mean, I was so intrigued by what he said, and he was pleased with it. And I was just happy because I always second guess myself, but that's what we always do when we're perfectionists. You always want to second guess yourself. But he liked it, and I loved it. So that was a great experience. 10 days I did that one. No, it wasn't even 10 days. It was like 7.
Yeah, you turned that around quick. Funny story, on those recordings, did you hear me snoring on that mug?
Oh, yeah. I heard you snoring. I didn't sleep. Oh, yeah, I did. one of those interviews, bro. Hey, bro, one of those interviews, that joker called me. It was probably 10 o'clock at night, and I had drove to Texas or somewhere crazy. And I put that recorder on, and I was knocked out.
Snoring on tape, knocked out. So I was like, yo, I can't do this. I gotta get some.
Thank you for that.
So you was on there snoring.
Knocked
Mhm.
out,
You had to edit that out, B. You put the snoring part in there.
bro. Knocked out. Knocked out. But anyway, all right. So you went from J to Ray. Then who was your next client?
His name was Evan Holyfield. So it was Evander Holyfield's son, the boxer. He's an amateur boxer.
So
And I wrote for him. That was a long process. I was, getting my feet wet. That one was a little scary. It was a little difficult, but we got through it. We worked on that book for a long time. A very long time. Probably more than 6 months. About 7, 8 months we worked on that book.
yeah.
But I really learned and I grew and I had to stretch out of my comfort zone. So I thank God for that experience, because now when I encounter something like that, I'm able to do it. But I thought I wasn't going to ever finish that book. Like, literally, I think I was going to ever finish. But we did, and they were pleased with it. Yeah.
So both of y'all are ghostwriters, right? Because Doc does some ghostwriting too. I don't have that part of the brain where I can come up with creative stuff. I'm more right as a marketer. So how do y'all come up with themes for the books? Because I remember the Evan Holyfield book, the theme that you came up with for every chapter. Share how you come up with those themes and what was the themes you created for the chapter. And then Doc, I want you to piggyback off that.
So I like to talk to the client at least one time. Once I talk to them, they kind of tell me their rundown, and then I go back to the lab and kind of come up with what I think would be a theme. That's pretty much how I do it. And for this one, this was a self-help book, and he wanted to talk to the youth about achieving goals and being steadfast and, just kind of encouraging people. And since he's a boxer, I decided to do the book in 12 rounds. And in every round, at the end of each round, we had I think I call it a boxer's corner. I can't even remember what the name was. For each round, there was basically a tidbit of advice on what the chapter was about for the youth. And it was easy to read for youth. And every chapter we talked about a different thing that goes on in boxing. And I kind of formulated the whole chapter around it, because I like to use a lot of analogies that way so people can learn and get the point. That's how I like to write. So that's what we did.
Go ahead,
I learned
bro.
a lot about boxing on the way.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's a lot like you, B. I think that's great. You get in the head of the person that you're interviewing or writing the book, and I like the way you build around those themes, analogies. I'm working on a book now, and like you said, it's all about the individual, how long it takes, because you're really in their mind and their space. Some people give it to you all together, and then some people you have to really dig in and get that story. How I create things is just based on buzzwords that they say to me. Once I'm talking to them in an interview and I start to hear a certain thing, my mind just starts to create around those words. So that's how I kind of play on words. Like if you had the 12 rounds, I might have this 12 steps or whatever it is that is a simile to something else. So I think we're in that same vein, but it's really getting to know each writer and spending time with them so you can kind of be virtual or surrogate for their book.
Yeah.
Dope. I don't have that part. Y'all are good at that. That's why I got y'all on the team. So cool. So you went from Evan's book. Who was your next one, B?
No. Before Dennis Haley, I had the real estate agent, the luxury real estate agent from Florida. Okay. What was his name? Man, it seems like it's been so long. I can't remember. Do you remember his name?
That's how you know you're big time. When you've written so many books, you can't even remember who they were. No, I don't remember. I don't. Oh, yeah. Nathaniel.
Right, Nate. Right, Nate. Oh, man, he was so cool to work with. And so by the time I got to Nate, I kind of changed my process on how I interview. So now what I do is I like to get to know the client. So we do a session. I have this book for like 2,000 questions. You get to know people. And it has nothing to do with the book. It's just I like to build a rapport because we're going to be working together for so long and I want them to feel comfortable.
Right.
And so I play this game with them and he liked it, to kind of open him up. And I did that with him. By the time I started that with him, just asking the question, get to know him. And so he's a luxury real estate agent, and so he sells $1 million homes. And so, but his book was about purpose, though. But since I had built a rapport with him, we were talking about what he does. He really, opened up to me, and going forward, I did that with everybody. I just made it better and better. So it's called getting to know you. I do that now for everybody.
What's one of the questions?
Oh, well, it varies. I have a book of 2,000. So Target or Walmart. That was one of them.
Oh, got it. Target.
Yeah, it's literally like that. Right. I want to make them laugh because I'm kind of funny. Make them laugh. I have some deeper questions, but we start off with questions like that. Nike or Adidas,
Gotcha.
We start off like that. And the people, I'm Adidas. So when they say Nike, they'll give me the like, oh, no, But, just some fun banter back and forth to get them comfortable with me. Because, it's kind of hard telling somebody your business that's a complete stranger. Believe it or not, it's kind of hard. You hold back because I ask somebody one question one day, they'll give me a little modest answer, and I ask the same question different time, and then they'll give me the whole thing. I'm like, that's not what you said the first time, but they have to be comfortable with me. So, and he was a talker, so right out the gate, so he was good to go.
Doc, so how do you do it? How do you start your process with your writers? With your authors?
I would definitely, I just kind of jump in and just have a casual conversation. And I'll just start talking about a little bit of my story, how I'm a writer. And because a lot of times they want to know about me. They've usually been referred to me by you or a publisher. So they're like, hey, Kelly, tell me good things. And, so I try to just come in, use humor, just say, hey, some of my real life experience, but then I start to go in and just ask them certain questions. So like, for example, the client I'm working with now, I did a little of my interview game that I do, and I'll just say, hey, are you an accelerator or a brake? And she was like, oh, I'm pretty much laid back. And I was like, okay, I know how to approach her in the sense to be like, I need to probably be the accelerator in this writing relationship. And so I've seen where I'm kind of like, yo, listen, what do you think? And it's a tag team kind of affair. And then I just started repeating what I call motivational interviewing. And motivational interviewing where I'm repeating back through active listening what they're saying. So what I hear you saying, because, as creators we can just take something and run with it, and that could not totally be what their experience is. So I always say, hey, so you're saying this. And then she'll come back and say, yes, that's what I'm saying. Or, oh, I never thought about it like that. And so it's just a back and forth conversation, and then I record an interview and come back, and I'll show them the transcript so they can say, hey, this is what am I on the right track? And then I start to dig in and write.
Dope. All right, B. Then you went from the luxury real estate agent, you went to NFL player, correct?
Right.
What was the NFL player?
Dennis Haley, former NFL player Dennis Haley. And that was a fun experience because, now I'm a whole different world of sports. I don't know a lot about football. So that was fun to learn. We laughed a lot because I was getting stuff wrong when we talked about football, but I got the gist of it now. and he was not a big talker, but over time, as the relationship built, we were able to talk to each other, and he was comfortable. And now what I started doing is when I got to him, so every client I like to add a different step, to perfect the process. So now when I started talking to him, I thought that it would be advantageous if I talked to his wife. She's a very big influence on that period in his life. So now I'll interview 2 other people that's advantageous to the project. Now that's what I do. So for him, I only did his wife. So I got a chance to interview his wife, got to know her. We only talked once, but we talked for an hour, and I was able to get her perspective on the same things that I had talked to him about. And so that really, really helped me fill in a lot of the gaps where I couldn't pull it out of him. So now I was able to get it from her. So that was great. That was a good experience too.
Got you. Now, who's the person that you talked to on the phone that you interviewed that you just fanned out? Like you just like, I can't believe I'm talking to this person. Come on,
Probably Mike Vick.
Michael Vick.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. Tell the people about that.
He's very laid back, very cool, very manable. I felt like I've been known forever, but I just could not believe that me watching him on TV, when I did watch it, watching him on TV, seeing him, and I'm actually now talking to him on the phone. I interviewed him. So that was exciting. So I had to calm down a whole lot, mute my phone, and then, unmute and talk to him. But yeah, it was fun. That was the only one that I did. Because everybody else I really didn't know. So that helps. When I don't,
She froze.
I'm froze.
Yeah, you froze. Now you back. Go ahead. That helps when you don't know them, you said?
Yes, that helps me a lot when I don't know them.
Yeah.
I would prefer it that way. Now, they can be something big in their industry and I don't know. That helps me a lot. Because if not, I'll fan out like I did with that one.
Yeah, you can't be fanning out. You gotta.
Right.
Gotta, or at least.
But he didn't know, though.
They don't know. As long as they
Right.
don't know, then it's good. But
Right.
That's good stuff. I want to get into some practical stuff. So one of the biggest questions I get as a publisher is, how do people start? If you could give somebody, if they want to write their own book, how would you suggest they start? What's a good starting point? How can they get started writing their book?
I always tell people to write your thoughts down and then create an outline. Even if it's just a simple outline, create an outline, because what I used to try to do, and I know that it doesn't work for me, I know that I'll just try, because you're so excited, you want to write everything down. You will write a page and then you're like, where do I go next? What do I say? So you need to organize those thoughts. Writing an outline really helps you. Even now, I always have to write an outline. I write an outline for my clients. I'll send it to them. We'll tweak it, and then I'll go from there. Of course, I add as I go along, but at least I have a skeleton to work from, because if not, you will be stuck in front of the computer for hours. At least I know I have, because I don't have an outline. Must have an outline.
So, Doc, how do you start? How would you suggest they start?
Yeah, I start. You're speaking from a standpoint of the writer or the ghostwriter or the person that actually is writing the book.
Yeah, somebody who wants to write a book, because that's the question that I always get. How do I start? I want to write a book, so how do I start? Y'all are the professional writers, like y'all are ghostwriters. So what advice would you give them on starting the process?
I would say the main point of what you want. I kind of work from the back. Like if it was life, I'll say, hey, tell me what you want to say at your funeral. I'll start there. Then what do you want your book to say at the end? And so they're like, oh, it's about healing. I want to show victory. Okay. All right. So then I'll say, okay, now that we know that's the end goal, let's work backwards and what are the steps? And I don't even have to have an outline. It could just be random thoughts, and I turn those into bullets, and then those bullets can turn into chapters. So that's usually how I do it.
Dope.
Let me be a question, because this came to me as a fellow.
Yep.
As a fellow ghost writer, celebrity, walk into your shadow, try to get to where you be, right? How do you deal with, say you spend time, you put energy in, you did all these steps, and then you come to a client, I don't know if this has happened yet, but they're like, that's totally not what I want.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Oh, yeah, it happened early on. Well, it was very discouraging for me because it happened early on. So I thought my career was over at that point. But so what we did, we had to have a conversation, several conversations, so we can get on the same page. Because sometimes a lot of emails going back and forth, you can't get what you need. But we had to have a conversation so I can understand as a writer, what exactly are you trying to convey to your readers. So that's what I did. And then I do my own independent research now based on the topic. So I read a lot of books now based on what the subject matter is. And so that goes into it too, to make sure I'm understanding it. Because like right now I'm working on a book, and there's a lot of things like business credits. I'm just starting this stuff, learning business credits and tax write-off. And so I have to read and reread so I can understand, because I don't want it to happen again. Like, this is not what I wanted. So definitely communicating with the client, and I say researching. That's what I do with my own independent research.
That's amazing. Yeah, because one of the worst things you do, as a ghostwriter, you do have to put your feelings aside. And from the standpoint, say, hey, it's at the end of the day, they're driving, it's their book. But there are some times like, man, I wrote this dope piece. I know you feeling this. You
Right.
know, but they're like, nah. And Kelly can identify on the other side. But you be heartbroken because you're like, yo, this is fire. Because you get entrenched in the book. Like, you embody that story. And I know me and Kelly, funny story, we work with people and we design like just bomb covers. Our design team does it. And we're like, that's hot. And then somebody look at it like, no, I don't like it. And we're like, oh.
Yep.
That's the worst. That's, for me, a whack cover is the worst because then I'm putting my name on some garbage and I'm like, yo, we done this amazing cover and you want to turn it into this foolishness. But I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to that stuff, the customer is whatever they say. But a lot of times,
right,
if somebody be like, yo, did y'all do this cover? Yeah, but that's what they wanted. You know, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to co-sign that. But all right, back to some practical stuff. So you talked about you have a writing schedule. Like, what's your writing schedule?
So I try to stick to 5 days a week to write at least 5 hours a day.
Wow.
Because and that includes me doing research, reading, and looking up stuff on, watching YouTube videos of people. I have to do that sometimes too. I try to stick to that 5 days a week because if not, I have spent 12 hours at my computer trying to do something. Because you can say, oh, I can do it tomorrow. Because I don't know if you experienced it, but you'll have the whole chapter laid out in your head, word for word.
Yep.
You sit down, nothing come out. So you say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow turns to Friday, and you need to have it at 7 o'clock on Friday, and you got to be on your computer all day. I've done that too many times. I don't even know why I torture myself like that. But having a writing schedule is important. Just like you schedule to do any other job, you need to schedule writing time, because if not, you will pay for it at the end. And then if you do it like that, sometimes you don't give your best because you're tired at a point, and it's kind of like, or you may do good, but it's just better if you have a clear mind every day where you set this time aside to write. So I do 5 hours.
5 hours a day. What time? From what time to what time?
I usually try to get up and do exercise and stuff so I can clear my mind, or meditation and all of that. So I usually do 11 to 4 or 5, somewhere around there.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, do you have a writing schedule?
Yeah, most of the time, what I try to do, because all the other stuff going on, I'm so glad it's so refreshing that I can kind of chill with another ghostwriter. Because I'll be feeling like sometimes you can even have the interview manuscript, you can even have everything laid out, and you get there and it's like nothing ain't gonna come out.
Yep.
But from the standpoint of what happens is my schedule's at night, because Kelly can tell you, anybody can tell you that know me, I get my juices flowing at night. I can rock with, from I kind of today I started earlier, but usually from about 9 to 1 in the morning. I'm working, boom, 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 and I can tell when I tap out. So I'm probably about 2-3 hours a day. Not 5 hours a day, but 2 or 3 hours a day, because I'm in my zone. Mm-hmm. And then actually, but I have a whole timeline that I work out with the client to say, this is my timeline when you should be doing it. It holds me accountable. And sometimes I'm waiting for that person to get back. So it's flexibility on both sides, but what that does, it breaks the book up. Instead of it saying, hey, I'm in the 9th hour and got to write 6 chapters. I want to give them quality and value. So it's basically saying, hey, you're going to get this, but at the same time, they might give it back late. There's some flexibility, but try to beat that deadline. So 3 hours a day, but I try to break it down. If it's 12 chapters, 3 chapters every 2 weeks, whatever it is, to break it down so it's quality. Mm-hmm. So I try to commit to 3 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Dope. So yeah, I can't do that. Well, I'm more like, a lot of my books, I speak them and then I transcribe them and then I have somebody edit it and do whatever. But I don't like sitting down writing. There's only one book that I'm actually writing, and it's not going to come out till I hit the millionaire mark, but it's called From Walmart Associate to Christ Made Millionaire, and I'm writing that. So, but I might get one of y'all to interview me and finish writing it, because definitely. So yeah,
she worked with the stars.
Yeah. I'm gonna get one of y'all to do it. But good stuff. So we're gonna wrap it up. We talked about a lot of stuff. I want to get in one of the practical things. Is there another one of the questions I always get?
is there a number that you try to get for chapters? Like, should you focus on having X amount of words per chapter?
Well, I do. I try to have now at least 3,500 words per chapter. I think that's a good chapter.
Okay.
Cause me, I've written 6,000 chapter words, and that's way too many. You have to
Got you.
break that up. So I try at least 35. But someone who's probably just started, even 2,500 is good. But I just try to do that. I'm long winded, so I do 35.
Got you. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I kind of really, mine is kind of mechanism of how many chapters.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on if it's, because sometimes I'm looking like this doesn't match in this chapter. So a book, where there being 10 chapters, it might end up being 13 because I'm really trying to figure out, that's a whole nother concept. That's a whole nother chapter. I'm trying to blend it into another chapter, but it's so potent that it needs to be another chapter. So I'm like, that's okay if it's not. So I really don't look at words. I look at chapter and volumes. And when I start to flow, because I've been writing so many books so long, I know that anything past 180, most people are not reading. If we go to 2 something, it's a good book, but it's going to really, you have to really look back and say, am I saying the same thing over and over?
Yep.
And most of the time when you look at that, if it's going past 180 pages, you're saying the same thing over and over. And how can I reduce that? So I basically look at, if it's longer chapters, if it's longer chapters, it's shorter chapters, if that makes sense. So it's not as many chapters. And if it's longer chapters, there's fewer words in those chapters. So I kind of mesh it out, and then I go and try to, if we got journal pages in there, reflective exercises, I try to make the book interactive, especially now working with a coach who was a potential coach. So I said, hey, it's telling your story, but we also want it to be that you are an expert, and having those expert moments like, boom, is going to drive later on for your clientele to say, hey, you added value, and it just wasn't a great story, that you are actually freeing me. So it depends on what kind of book it is. If it's self-help, you can build those things in. So I would say it depends on the book.
So, all right, B, I think we gave them a lot of stuff. They're going to have to follow you. Where can the people, if they want to get in touch with you, they want you to write their book, or they're, they want to work with you, they want to get to know your process and all that stuff, give the people your info and how they can stay in contact or get in contact with you.
Well, you can reach me by phone always. My business line is 312-685-1637. Again, 312-685-1637. And the phone is probably the best way to reach me. And then email, it's inkwrites, INCWRITES @yahoo.com. Those are the best ways to reach me. So Ink are my initials. Inita Callaway, and I just played off that, Ink Writes. So there you go.
So what's your social media and all of that as well?
So my Instagram is Ink_Writes. That's my my IG. Facebook is Ink Writes. Just Ink Writes.
Dope. All right. I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to share with the people about writing, about your process, anything we didn't touch on that is on your heart that you wanted to share?
Probably, for a long time, people always ask me, who are your favorite authors? Who are your favorite authors?
Yeah.
And I'm not the traditional, well, I like Langston Hughes, I like this. Honestly, my favorite writers are rappers because I love a great story. So I draw inspiration from Jay-Z, Tupac, Eminem, Andre 3000, those type of people that are really lyricists and they're actually talking about a comment. Those people are actually talking about things. Well, I don't want to say this, but they're telling stories in such a beautiful way, and the cadence. That's kind of how I write. So those were my inspirations growing up for writers. I mean, now one of my favorite authors is Julian Flynn, but as far those are my go-tos, like Lil Wayne, especially Lil Wayne. I mean, some of his stuff is vulgar, but he is a beautiful lyricist, wordsmith, like dynamite. Like I would love to write, well, just listen to his writing process one day. But so I'm saying all that to say, if you have a love for writing and you've never even picked up a book, don't let anyone tell you that you have to have these certain writers to be your inspiration. Don't let them do that to you, because that's how I always thought for a minute. Then I had to realize mine was rappers.
So
So,
I love that. Love that. Favorite rapper, Lil Wayne?
ooh, probably. And then Jay-Z. Yep.
Blasphemy. You're supposed to say Common. We Chi-Town people. You're supposed to say Common. All right, bro. Bro, any final remarks from yourself?
No, man, this has been a great show. I love what you do, and amazing. When I write my autobiography, I'm gonna look for. When I become a star, I'm gonna look for you.
I'll be there.
She gotta write both of our books.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Favorite rapper. B set it off. Favorite rapper.
Nas, no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you a Nas guy. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you want more guests, if you got questions, I'll shoot them over to B. If you want to book me and Doc to speak at your event, if you want publishing, shoot us an email, books-n-brothas@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribing to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and make sure you share this. This could help somebody get their story out. Don't just, like a lot of people hit me up personally and say they enjoyed the podcast, but make sure give us a like, give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, and share this with somebody and tag us on social media. All right, bro. Anything else you got to say before we give them our famous quote?
Your favorite rapper, I ain't here yet.
My favorite rapper, Common. I told you I'm Chi-Town. I don't switch teams. I used to.
Well, Kanye West. There you go.
Yeah.
Kanye.
Right. I forgot him. Sorry. Yeah. And he's one of the people that I want to write for one day. So
the old Kanye is the Kanye I like. College dropout. After
I ain't
college
judging.
dropout,
I want to talk about that whole journey, but yeah.
So yeah, after that, I don't mess with it. All right. On that note, guys, you don't have to get it right.
You just got to get it going.
All right. Thank y'all. Thanks, B, for coming on.
Thanks, B.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a great night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I have a book in me.
This is my friend, my brother.
Thank you, Kelly and Oliver.
I'm a multi-award-winning best-selling author.
If you want to start a new business, I suggest you write the book on it.
God woke me up at 2:30 in the morning and I wrote a book.
Some of you got books already. Some of you got novels already.
The lead generator is the book.
You write a book, you leave a legacy to your children.
And I hope you guys listen to these guys so they know what they're talking about.